Hey friends. I had a flash this morning about kind of continued some of what's been showing up around the work I'm doing with my daughter, the play I'm doing with my daughter on her violin. And it was kind of a string of things. I should be able to remember them. I was sitting and I was thinking about the last week. We've had a really great week, and we've had some days when we spent a fair amount of time really digging in and I found a new playfulness in some of what I was doing with her, and of course that helps. And I had this thought this morning. I was thinking about all the things that are on we have a lesson, she has a lesson later today, and I was thinking about the things we're preparing for that. And I had this insight all of a sudden. There's not even an insight, it was like a message, like a declaration from the universe that said, if you can let go of your agenda for this practice session, if you can let go of her getting anywhere, then you're going to learn what music really is. Me, not her. She's going to teach me what music really is. And I was like, oh, okay. That sounds important. And so then I started associating that with the edict that I've been following for the past several days, week or two. Don't produce anything, which, as I've mentioned in many posts now, was sort of offered to me by my wife as a way of putting down the compulsive urgency to get somewhere. In virtually everything I do, I have there's this underlying tension, and of course what it's doing is it's making my behavior compulsive, and therefore I'm not listening, I'm not receiving, and ultimately I'm therefore not producing very much. So don't produce anything was like, take away all that and start from a place of listening and receptivity. And I thought, well, that feels a lot like what I'm getting about my work with Annalise right now. I'm getting this message about forget where you think she needs to get to, or she needs to learn. Sit back and listen. And there's been an explosion of creativity in her the last couple of days. She started writing her own music. She's experimenting with tones, but she's conscious of what she's doing. She'll play a phrase and then she'll make sure that it's the same the next time she plays it. She's really kind of like going to a new place with it all. And it made me realize, don't produce anything, just create a space where that's what's possible, where what's coming through can show up. I liken it to, I've been doing a bit of dream work recently in the very superficial sense of just trying to write down my dreams in the morning. And I've spent phases of my life doing this in the past. It's been a while now since I've done it, so I'm a little out of the habit. And I've noticed, there's an art to it. There's an art to remembering your dreams, because it's so easy. None of us work hard to dream, right? We're not sitting at night going, like writing a screenplay, like what should happen next? There's no effort involved in dreaming. Dreams happen. Epic, huge, imaginative worlds with logic that may make no rational sense if it's transposed into physical reality, but that makes perfect sense in the context of a dream. You know, whole universes of laws of physics and laws of relationships, laws of identity, all that stuff is up for grabs, and our psyche does it effortlessly, expansively every night. Well, there's a moment as we're waking up, which if you start doing dream work, you'll start to notice this moment, because when we start to make a conscious effort to remember our dreams, a couple things happen. One, we become conscious of that moment when the dream is there. We're still in the dream world, but we're starting to cross into conscious wakefulness. As that happens, if we're trying to remember our dream, there's a way in which we kind of just have to let the conscious mind slowly rise to the surface, just bob up to the surface of the water, but without disturbing that subconscious or whatever, you know. Sure, a neurologist or a psychologist would have better language for this, but that realm of the dream, it's if we try to hold on to it, it almost always disappears. It almost always won't stay long enough for us to actually whip out a pen and start writing it down. Sometimes it will, but it's not about holding on tight to that space. It's about letting the conscious mind wake up, but remain still, remain present and receptive and still, so that the dream space can continue to flow, and the conscious mind is now receiving it. It's just it's just receiving the dream space. And our conscious mind wants to grab on, or at least mine does, and most of ours probably does. So there's something in the process of don't produce anything, and this state of really getting kind of rigorous about questioning and ultimately disengaging, dissolving those compulsive impulses that are constantly trying to get us somewhere else, that sometimes it's clearly defined, sometimes it's not, but it's universally somewhere other than now. So we're falling out of the now and we're not really receiving the now. It's like trying to hold on to light. You know, I met this when I was thinking about what it's like to recall a dream. It's like we have to hold up the film of a camera and leave the shutter open and let that light just hit the film. And it's like it's like an old-timey film. This isn't a digital camera. It's like one of those ones that had to be open for like 45 seconds before you got a photo. You just had to hold the film really still, hold the image, it was just a moment of suspension. When light was being absorbed. You can't hold on to light. You know, there's a beautiful lyric from Sound of Music. How do you hold a moonbeam in your hand? It's a song at the beginning of the show where they're talking about the character of Maria and her complete sort of like, she's clearly she's not integrating into the nun life, into the convent life. She's not having it. She's too, wild and free. And there's this gorgeous song where they're singing about it, and they say, how do you hold a moonbeam in your hand? But that image of trying to hold light, trying to catch light, it's what it's all about. It's what Don't Produce Anything is about. It's what making music is all about. It's what remembering our dreams is all about. It's that space of receptiveness which requires poise and steadiness, stability, can't be receptive if we're moving. But then it also requires a letting go and not controlling. It's not a held stiffness. It's an easy stillness. Yeah. I think that's what I got today, folks. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.